Hello, this is Megan from Art Garden Oracle, and I am going to run through a video idea I've been playing with for a long time. I didn't think it was a VR, and I did a search just to be safe, and or like a hashtag, I mean, created by someone else. So I did a search just to be safe, and one of my favorite channels, Waves of Your Soul, actually had a hashtag, but I haven't seen it answered too many other places, so I'm not even sure if it's like along the same lines as what I was thinking to do for this little video. I will still leave the video because I want to give due credit to the channel, which I cannot pronounce. I will leave that below. But anyway, I just want to make a video about a number of decks because I received one recently, or I got one recently that totally surprised me. And that I really was thinking I made a bad decision on. And was like, oh, I'm probably gonna have to return this or find someone else who would like it. And I ended up loving it. And that's just happened with a few decks that I really didn't think I would like, and I either saw them getting a lot of love from people whose channels I loved or whose reading style or aesthetic style I loved, or yeah, they just kept talking to me on my wish list or through things I would see, and I just kind of couldn't ignore it anymore. So anyway, not necessarily, I mean, it can be whatever it needs to be. Surprising decks was just kind of the theme of the video. So I'm going to start with just a few oracles. The majority of what I have are tarot decks though. This is a relatively recent one. It's not the one I was talking about, even though the one I was talking about is an oracle deck. But I'm sure this is probably more well known than I realized, but I just had never heard of it. And I was really surprised by how great it is and how much I like the artwork. It had some of the new age vibe to it that I sometimes don't love in oracle decks, and I was a little nervous that it would be a little too otherworldly. And while the artwork does kind of look otherworldly, there is a very grounded quality to this deck and to the guidebook, and I've just really enjoyed it. I've said in other videos how wildly diverse my aesthetic is, and I feel like that's been pretty obvious in all of the videos I've done so far, which aren't many. But yeah, so this is, I find it really beautiful. The cardstock is pretty big. Let me find traditional tarot size, sorry. This is one I'll show later. But so yeah, pretty big cards in true oracle fashion, but I find them really large even for oracle cards. I have to shuffle them sideways. But I really like the artwork, and I like that, and some of them feel kind of different. I mean, a lot of them are these really bright, and I love a good bright deck. I love color. But then some of them are just really calm and quiet. This kind of reminds me of the Energy Archaeology indie deck that I really like a lot. So yeah, some of them are much more calm and muted. And really interesting keywords, which I always love in an oracle deck. But it's not as far out as some of the cards make it seem like the deck is. Like I said, it's just really, really grounded. So it has this lovely guidebook, and all of this part almost reads like an affirmation. It's in first person, but then it also has an action. In some cases, it has it always ends with a quote. Not always, but often ends with a quote. And yeah, they're all a little bit different. So expression, incarnate. So some of them will have suggestions or kind of ritual almost things. But I just find the writing to be very well done, and the deck to be really well done too. This is a mass market deck. I didn't say who it was by. I flashed the box, but it's on the more expensive side of Lily Acuna. It's on the more expensive side of a mass market deck. So yeah, there's just these like really beautiful, more realistic kind of muted cards too. So I like the range of aesthetics and images in here. And just some really different keywords that I don't have in any other, I mean, sacred sexuality, you know, just some really different keywords that might not be something I would want to read with for just anyone or just any situation sometimes, but really unique perspectives. So this was a pleasant surprise because I just really hadn't heard anything about it. Just something I found online on Amazon popped up. And again, it's one of those things where I can't believe Amazon hasn't suggested something to me yet. And then even when I ordered it, I was pretty sure I was going to love it, but I did have that just like deep fear that it was going to be a little too cosmic love and light and not enough. I really love a good balanced tarot deck or oracle deck, and it very much wasn't. It has plenty of shadow, plenty of really good questions, really good food for thought, and I really like the artwork. So that is, those are the backs. The Spiral Oracle, like I said, Lily Acuna. The next oracle is Star Code's Astro Oracle. So I actually got this a really long time ago, and so the surprise is actually recent. So I got this, like I said, it was probably one of my first or second oracle decks I ever got. And I was already pretty into astrology, but I hadn't really started studying it yet. And I did readings with it right away, and I really thought the readings were really strong and really surprisingly profound. But I didn't know enough about astrology yet to really, you know, I was like, what, you know, is this a good astrology deck? Is it not? And I was just kind of, I wasn't using it for astrological type readings at all, which I don't think you need to after I've worked with it for a while and now understand astrology a lot better. So the surprise, I kind of put it away for a while because I just started using a lot of other oracle decks, and I've been studying astrology really intensely for a couple of years, and I'm working on a website and starting to do astrology readings for people hopefully by the end of the year. So going, like, I've always, like I said, studied and known a fair amount about astrology, but really going deep dive over the last couple years. I pulled this out in the last 2 months, I would say. And I was just like, you know, I wonder if this still holds up. And after studying and like understanding all of these cards a lot better, I wonder if it'll still feel like a good astrology deck. And it totally did. I realized even more so how great it really is. I really like the keywords they've chosen for the different astrological concepts, and they're really different than, like, I feel like give more meaning than a lot of the keywords that are more commonly associated with the 10th house, for example. Like the 10th house is often associated with career, but I like the use of authority instead of career. And then the use of like climbing to the mountaintops is like goal-oriented hard work to get to a destination. You know, I like that Mars can often kind of have a lot of negative connotations when you're looking at astrological type things, but yeah, just motion, like that's a really great neutral word for Mars. And the imagery still is like lots of fire, lots of, you know, strong energy, kind of masculine energy, if you know you want to talk in those binary terms. But yeah, I've just found it's still an awesome deck. It still reads beautifully well for me, and it really holds up to the astrology I've studied for the last couple years, and something that I was just like, I'm going to start using this so much more, because now I feel like I can really dig deeper into the cards now that I've studied astrology. But all that said, 2 years ago when I hadn't done a deep dive into astrology, I still found it to be a really wildly good reader, and really kind of blew me away when I would just, you know, pull cards just for a typical kind of oracle question. So, and I study Hellenistic astrology, or, you know, ancient Hellenistic astrology versus modern astrology, and it seems like it would hold up well for either system, but I don't know modern astrology very well at all. So it definitely works well for me for Hellenistic astrology. So, you know, it's also just kind of, I wouldn't say that it's like my aesthetic choice necessarily. I mean, I find them beautiful. They're very well done and very beautiful, but I don't know. I guess I just gravitate toward, it's really graphic, I would say. And there's only a few decks that are more graphic that I like a lot, but yeah, it's, I don't know, the cardstock's great. And even though it's not exactly like, if I was looking at 10 astrology decks, the artistic style I would choose, I still, it's grown on me, I guess I'll say that much. So Heather Rowan Robbins is the deck creator, artwork by Lucas Lua de Souza. And this too is a mass market oracle deck. I'm gonna go with the one that kind of got me thinking about doing this video last. So next to last oracle deck is Soul Cards. Oh, good, it's on here. Soul Cards 1, because I can never remember which one I have. So these are really glossy. I don't even know what my glare is like. Oh, it's not too bad. These, I saw so many people that were loving this deck, and I was just like, it's not gonna work for me, you know. And you know, the artwork, even though I find it beautiful and kind of haunting, I also kind of found it strange. I don't know, in a way that just didn't quite appeal to me. Like, it almost feels like a dream, and in some places kind of nightmarish type. I don't know, yeah, just really abstract. So the artwork didn't initially appeal to me. And then I think I also was just like, and because my thought was, because the artwork didn't appeal to me, I wouldn't be able to read intuitively with it. And so I really avoided it, even though so many people kind of sing the praises of this deck. And I can't remember what prompted me to go for it anyway. It was some weird thing where I was like surprised afterwards. I was just like, why did I buy this deck? Like, for the longest time, I knew I didn't want this deck. I think it was maybe another deck that I enjoyed reading intuitively more than working with the book beforehand, and maybe that's what it was. But I got it, and I was still just like, this deck is not going to speak to me. I'm not going to be able to use it. And I started using it, and just like, I remember the first reading just instantly blew me away. It was so clear to me how to read the card. It worked. I think I pulled up some clarifying tarot cards, or maybe another oracle, to clarify some stuff that I was thinking, and it just like totally meshed with the other cards I pulled. It all made deep and beautiful sense for that first question I asked. And I was just like, okay, I get it. And I've been using it ever since. I feel like, and also just having this in hand versus all the times I saw it online and just kind of judged it. Like, I don't always feel a super clear energy from a deck, but like having the images right in front of me versus seeing them online, they exude a much stronger feeling than I would have expected. And it's a warmer, just like calming, rooted message. Even some of the ones where it feels like something crazy maybe is going on. So yeah, it just feels like it really has a lot of soul to it. And it absolutely surprised me. I really like told myself 100 different ways that this deck wouldn't work for me, and it did. So that was a big surprise. And probably, you know, if you don't have this deck, it really doesn't have titles on the card, and the guidebook is just the smallest little bit. There is no guidebook, so it really is an intuitive reading deck. But if it's something that you don't do or are afraid to get a deck that doesn't have a guidebook or titles or whatever the case may be, Deborah Koff-Shapen, I really encourage you to try this one. You know, it's a relatively small investment, and I think everyone has the ability to read intuitively, and it was just a really great deck to do that with. Okay. This is the deck that surprised me. This is a French deck, Oracle. I can't say that properly in French. Medieval and Merveilleux. I know you can say, I can say Merveilleux. I don't know how to say medieval. Anyway, I'm not going to try. Or I guess I did badly. So I studied French, which I shouldn't say right after I tried to pronounce that, for a very long time through high school and college. Minored in it in college. I follow Waves of Your Soul. She's a French-speaking and English, very, very good, better at speaking English than I just spoke French. She's a wonderful channel, and oh, look, there's another deck in there. But I never saw this on her channel, actually, but I do have a number of French decks because of things I found on her channel. I can't remember where I originally saw this, but this is one that I know Amazon has been telling me to get for a long time. And it's like this medieval art. And so there was a big part of me that was like, ooh, that medieval art I think is maybe a little too bizarre for me. So it's a modern artist, but drawing kind of in that more medieval way. And same thing, like when I saw pictures of it online or saw people flip through it a little bit, which is not super common on YouTube, TarotTube, I just wasn't sure it was for me, mostly because the artwork didn't resonate. And so it was almost the same thing as some of these other ones. It was coming to me in the mail. This is a mass market. I got it on Amazon. I got it in the mail, and I was just like, oh, I think I made a mistake with this one. And sure enough, I remember my first flip through, and it was just instant love at first sight. I find the artwork so charming. There's so many little details that, like, I never noticed, like these little, I don't know, flame gremlin type characters in the background, and like crying clouds, and all these little bits where, like, this chain, like, or this planet, like, tied to her third eye. All these just cool details I never would have noticed online. And really great keywords. Most of the keywords you can really pull easily into English. They're almost all, they call them faux amis, or no, they're not false friends in French. It's the opposite of faux ami. Basically, it looks like what the word is in English. I can't remember the name of it, like message. Some of them are almost, or are exactly the same. But yeah, it's really beautiful. The keywords are great. And I studied French for a really long time, and I still have a lot of vocabulary struggles in the guidebook. The guidebook's short and sweet, which is awesome, so it's easy to translate pretty quickly. But Google has amazing translation apps where you can just take a picture of the page and it will literally overwrite all of this in English. So anytime I'm struggling to read some vocabulary words in French, I pull up Google Translate, and it helps me with the click of a button, which is amazing. So all of them just have this short little, it's almost like a poem, and then a divinatory message, and that's it. So short and sweet guidebook. But I also find this really, really easy. If you don't want to mess with Google Translate, I find this one very easy to read intuitively, and that was the other surprise for me. There's so much symbology in here, and I find the images so well illustrated that it's just, you can really pull a lot just from the images. So like this is, oh my gosh, what's the English word? I can only think of it in French. Oh, premonition. So dreams, like premonition type dreams is the keyword. But like if you didn't know that, or if you didn't go to the guidebook, I mean, you can totally see how the image correlates to that, even if you didn't translate the keyword. So I mean, baptism is pretty easy to kind of guess from this word, but if you weren't still getting the word, yeah, they're just so well illustrated that you could still pull a lot of meaning from it. So abundance, I don't know, there's just so many. So this is Queen Mother. Yeah, it's just really good, really interesting, really different, and in a way that scared me before I got it, and then I instantly fell in love with when I saw it. Like jeu is game, so yeah, you could translate that, but it's clear they're playing a game and it's chess, and it's really easy to pull the image from what's going on in the picture. So that, the Medieval Oracle, Medieval and Marvelous Oracle, that's the translation, was what prompted me to get thinking about all these decks that have surprised me, that I thought I wouldn't like, or were afraid were like bad choices for me. Okay, I'm going to try to run through the tarot decks a little bit faster. So the first one, this is the only indie deck in my entire video, which surprises me, but this Apparition Tarot from Spirit Speak was such a surprise. I only have her Iris Oracle. Oh, there's cat hair. And I really was kind of like done with, you know, whatever, how many times have I said that? I'm done collecting tarot decks. But this deck, I just found, I always love a tarot deck that like gives really awesome new angles to the traditional tarot or the tarot meanings I know. And I just feel like these not only are this like quirky style of hers that I love and just find very enjoyable to look at from an artistic and aesthetic side. But yeah, there's just such great symbology and like such a different way of illustrating or using artwork to show like a different vantage point of all of the cards. And I find it really lovely. And so yeah, I just thought it was so weird. Like these backs are so bizarre. I love them. You know, the artwork is so bizarre, but I love them. I mean, just like the Ten of Wands, which is so much about burden and kind of being overwhelmed by carrying too much on your shoulders. And, you know, it's typically, you know, the 10 sticks on the person's back that they're carrying up a hill or some version of that. And this, to have a person on the phone crying and these 10 candles with teardrops over top of them about to put them out. I don't know, it's just such a beautiful string to pull on for what the Ten of Wands means. I just find it really lovely. And yeah, like lightning in the Chariot card, and I don't know, just these little tidbits that are just a very, very slight difference. And yeah, it was a lovely, I've really enjoyed going through this slowly, using it, but then going through it slowly and just thinking about all the different ways from such simple, relatively simple images too, but like all the little ways I can pull out such depth of meaning from these like simple but really, I find in almost all cases, really deep illustrations. I love it. Yeah. It was just a surprise because it's just so funky and so different, and I really like that is so delightful for me, how different and funky it is. I flip kind of fast, I know. always say I'm going to go fast, and then I go slow. Okay. Next tarot deck. Oh, this one's funny. So, Niccoletta Ciccoli Tarot. This is the Little Mini by Lo Scarabeo. I only have the mini, which works just fine for me. Same thing. It was kind of like the aesthetic didn't really speak to me, but I saw a video somewhere. It might have been Lisa Papez, and I think she was talking about the Oracle, but something all of a sudden where I was like, yeah, these are cool. It's cool artwork. Like, that did not, I always thought that, but I guess I didn't feel like I was getting it until I think I watched Lisa walk through a few cards, and I was just like, oh, I see, I get the artwork. So it's artwork. I can't remember. I want to say this is one of Lo Scarabeo's little white books that is not very good. So I can still totally work with this deck intuitively and just off my RWS meanings. And very easily kind of pull the extra imagery from the cards, and it works beautifully. This is so what's the surprise? Yeah, I really didn't get it for a while, and I looked at it for a long time before I decided it was something that would add something to readings. And then the funny, quirky thing I'm going to show it next to you is this so old. This was my first or second Oracle deck, I think, years ago. I mean, look at the back of this thing. It has been through like rain and backpacking trips and all sorts of stuff. And so I really like this Oracle. This is one of her oldest ones, and I've heard a lot of people say that it's the only one of hers that they like. It's the only one of hers that I have, Colette Baron Reid. From the moment I got it, it's so weird that I got it because the imagery, the aesthetics of it did not make sense to me. And I was like, why did I get this? Like, I don't really like the aesthetics. And it's kind of weird, but it has always read so crazy well, like over and over and over again. And it reads so well for other people. And I've used this for people who've never heard of Oracle cards before or tarot, and they'll like go buy just this deck because it's so easy to use. And when I started like finding oracles and tarot decks that actually were my aesthetic, I put this away for a really long time. And then it was only when I got the Niccoletta Ciccoli, I paired them together. There's something in my brain, if you totally disagree, I would not be upset about it. That's totally fine. But there's something in my brain where these make sense together somehow. And they read really well together. It's like really incredible how well they read together. But it wasn't until I got this that I brought this Oracle back out, and I was like, you know, I do like this, and I want to read with it again. But it has this kind of just like weird imagery, like an egg in a field with like hearts. I mean, it's not, it doesn't have the darkness that the Niccoletta Ciccoli does, but it has the like oddity that it does, and they work really well together. And then this also came with a big old fat white border around it that I hated. And even though it's still not my aesthetic, when I ripped the border off and redid them, I was like, oh, I like these so much better. They're more pleasant to shuffle. And yeah, the imagery doesn't annoy me quite as much as it used to. And a lot of them, I mean, I think it just made the deck a lot prettier too. But anyway, strangely, two things that surprise me in different ways that I find work very well together. And maybe I'm crazy for saying that, but I use them. And I feel like the other kind of great thing, I don't find Niccoletta Ciccoli, even though some of the images are really dark and kind of creeper, I don't find it to be a dark reader. I mean, it's honest, but I don't find it to be spooky at all. But putting them together, I do feel like the Colette Baron Reid deck lightens it a lot and makes it really soft and gentle and healing when I use them together. I edged it all crazy just to see if it would work, and it did. I'm going to show this one kind of quick because I know a lot of people have seen this, but this was another one that so many people loved, and didn't think I would need it or that it would be a good deck for me, but I did get really into all these illustrators. John Bauer, Edmund Dulac, and Kay Nielsen, which I don't think there's a tarot deck based on Kay Nielsen's work, but these kind of early fairy tale illustrators. I don't even know. I should know. Was it early 1900s maybe? But oops. Whoa, what's going on here? So anyway, I do have the John Bauer tarot too, just because I really got him for the artwork, because I like to study artwork and illustrators that I really like. I practice art as well. And John Bauer is pretty difficult to read, but I had heard lots of people say that this was a really great intuitive reader, and I was just like, oh, I like it for the artwork, and I kind of want it as like an artwork study versus like trying to find a book with all this. I would rather have images that I would find in a book about the artist, but if I can use it as a tarot also and study the images that would be in a book, it's like double bonus for me. And this is just a wonderful reader. The Little White Book, most of Lo Scarabio's Little White Books are really terrible, and they don't give you any information about like the imagery in the card. This is one of the rare ones that I found anyway, where they do talk about the imagery in the card and how it relates to the card meeting. So the Little White Book is really good compared to most other Lo Scarabeo decks. But it does read really well. It reads very story-like, you know, if you have multiple cards in a row, you can just really read the storylines of these images, and I love it so much. I just feel like they did a really good job with the image choices, aligning them, because this is one of those, you know, using an artist for a tarot deck after the fact decks as opposed to creating it for the tarot, but they just did such a good job correlating the images with the tarot cards, and the images, for some reason, because I love John Bauer's images too, but these just work so much better for the tarot deck. So whether that's a problem with the editing or the artwork itself, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's just one of those that I got really for the artwork, and it has just been a wonderful tarot deck, like really awesome. So that's Edmund Dulac by Lo Scarabeo. Good night. It is difficult to film in the summertime with kids home, so I'm probably gonna get interrupted like 12 more times. Anyway, hopefully I talked about Dulac enough. It's a great reader, really profound messages, easy intuitive read, decent little white book compared to most of Scarabeo's Little White Book. And I really love the artwork. They really did a great job pairing it with the tarot. And as much as I love John Bauer's artwork, I feel like it's darker in the tarot deck, and they didn't pair it as well in Little White Book's garbage. For the most part, it doesn't talk about the artwork as much as the Dulac does. I still love it because I love John Bauer, but in terms of like the way the tarot deck looks on the cards, I like Edmund Dulac's artwork more. Okay, I only have 3 more tarot. I know this is already way longer, but I think these are all really cool tarot, and were all really big surprises for me. So the next one I'll do is the Influence of the Angels tarot. I think this is kind of a newer mass market. It's by Jody Boginski Barbesi. Ooh, I probably messed that up. So this is a very like beautifully done mass market deck. So the first surprise was it's, you know, gold edges, but it has, if it's not linen cardstock, it's like really convincing fake linen cardstock. I mean, it's just a beautiful quality deck. I love the backs. I find them beautiful. The artwork quality is just really high, really nice. So that was the first surprise. The biggest like overall surprise is I'm from the South originally. I think I've talked about this before, and kind of traditional Christianity, while I am a very spiritual person and I believe in I believe in, how would I say this? I don't not believe in Christianity. I don't believe in the organized religion of Christianity. I feel like there's been some good, and that's always the argument. Like, organized religion has done some good, but it's done lots of evil. And I really struggle with that, and tend to find that my relationship with divinity on a personal level and not an organized level is just much more authentic for me. So Christianity typically is a little bit of a trigger for me, so I have not really been interested. God, sorry, I didn't even want to go that deep into it. Ugh, I hate talking about that crap. I mean, it's just tiring these days. Anyway, so yeah, sometimes I can be kind of triggered by angel stuff, and all the angel decks I've seen I have not been interested in, but I find this artwork incredibly gorgeous. For like the 9,000th time, I clearly have a very diverse art aesthetic, but the artwork is just beautiful. It has just like some of the like really beautiful classic indie tarot that I don't have. Like one of my favorite is the Majestic Earth tarot. That's like my, what do you call it? My, you know, heart's desire that I'll never have. That's, I don't know. There's like some saying for that. But anyway, yeah, it just has that like really rich, artistic, beautiful artwork quality to it. Really classical, really well done. And so this deck doesn't trigger me. Like, I use it, I love it, I really like it. Like, I use it with the Touchstone Tarot, and they actually work really beautifully together. I've used it with how do I say her name wrong? Thea's Garden Goddess Tarot's Hellenic Oracle. Yeah, it's just a gorgeous deck. And then the third or fourth surprise, I don't even remember how far down the line I am, is the guidebook is also really good. So I feel like it's really easy to read if you know RWS, or even kind of intuitively too. It's pretty easy to read. But the guidebook is just great, and it's not, while it talks about angels and talks about like specific angels that are pictured in the tarot, it's not like overly religiously oriented, and they do such a good job. So they break it down by numbers, they break it down by the symbols in the picture, and like really in depth talks about symbology, which I really can, like, symbols are one of my favorite languages in the tarot, and so to have it broken down so well makes me really happy. And then it gives direct meaning, shadow meaning, and or you know, you could read that as reversed, and then an angelic message, but it's not like, yeah, it doesn't feel like a sermon or something. It's just like a very practical, like, good of all humanity, you know, kind of message. So it's just really a well done book. And like, there's some people, like actual people or actual angels in here. So like, they have Dante is the Page of Cups, and you know, so there's historical figures in here, and it'll talk a little bit about the historical figure, John Dowland. But yeah, again, it's not this like kind of shoving religion down your throat. It's just, yeah, it's, I don't know how to say it. It's very practical and very, I think, accessible for most people, you know, even if like me, you kind of have a little hesitation around really intensely religious kind of stuff. Not that, yeah. It has these extra little cards for number arcana meanings, and the suits and kind of general meanings, which is just like bonus. So it was surprising on all fronts, and I find it beautiful, really luxurious for like, it was like a $20 mass market deck. It was not even an expensive mass market deck, and I love it. Okay, another mass market deck. This one's a little bit on the more expensive mass market side, William Blake Tarot. So this one I had on my wish list for a while. I really love William Blake, and I I could just tell this was just like a really interesting deck. Time is the mercy of eternity without time's swiftness, which is the swiftest of all things, all or eternal torment. I don't know, just lots of William Blake quotes in the guidebook, and artwork, and a really beautiful deck, really like high, again, like this gilding I feel like is not gonna hold up as well, but yeah, really beautiful artwork, really cool. It does have these are the backs. It does have a slightly different system. Oh, and I just recently like looked this up again and then spaced exactly what it is. So painting is water. I think poetry, I know science is air. That's the only one that I never forget. Music is fire. And yeah, poetry or discs or pentacles. I always, science is the only one. I'm like, I know science. That makes sense to me. But the music and poetry and painting ones don't make as much sense. So again, fire is music. And in the court cards, you know, it says woman of music. I'm trying to remember if it's woman. Sorry, woman. What are the court cards? Angel is page, child is knight. So like that's a little confusing. Woman is queen, man is king. But yeah, the angel, child is knight. Anyway, there's some like, it messes with the system a little bit and it's a little confusing, but the book is really good and short and sweet, and there is a lot of like really good intuitive hits in the cards and lots of symbology and lots of like interesting things going on in the borders where you really can read it pretty intuitively, even if you're like frustrated with the way they've messed with it a little bit. I find it like, you know, especially with the major arcana, I find it skews more toward the Thoth system than RWS. And I'm much more familiar with RWS, but I can kind of get it when it's affiliated with Thoth. And then, okay, so, the surprise, I kind of knew the system was messed with, and that never really bothers me. I just use it as an opportunity to use a deck differently if it really gets in my way, or just like really have to get to know the deck better and use it a lot so that I can kind of like, without a second thought, use it the way it was intended. But the surprise to me was I got it. I was kind of hemming and hawing for a while. I got it because I was like worried it was going to go out of print mass market, which I don't think that's happened, and is not a good way to make decisions. But nonetheless, I did that. And I got it, and I opened the guidebook and like read, I think, one card, and I like read the intro, and there's not really an intro. This is all the intro about like how the deck was conceived and put together, and more info about William Blake and like how it all happened. And there was like nothing about any of that. And so I got kind of like bummed. And I was like, well, I wanted to know about the paintings, and I wanted to know more about, you know, him as a philosopher and thinker, and like what these little quotes, I want to know more about these little quotes. And so I got kind of annoyed and didn't really use it a whole lot. You know, it's just kind of one of those beautiful decks that I like to look at, but I didn't use as like a working tarot deck. And then I kind of got over myself and I got curious, and I was actually working on some art projects that I was feeling really second guessing myself about and feeling really insecure about trying to like start up this side project as an artist. And man, I was getting in my own way a lot. And I didn't even notice, but I picked up this deck kind of intuitively, and it's the William Blake Tarot of the Creative Imagination. And without even really thinking or looking at that title, I did a reading, and it spoke so well to this like artistic block I was having, really just blocking myself. It was so gentle, it was so profound, it was like such a simple message, but it hit me so deeply. And so I started using it as like my artistic issues or inspiration, or just like artistic message of the day, using it as that kind of tarot really for my artistic endeavors and more creative endeavors. And it's incredible. It's like so good. And, you know, all that stuff I wanted to know more and like get more info on William Blake, like I can still do that, but it just has like these really short little tidbits in the guidebook, which again were like part of my annoyance at first, but I can't even explain it. This just has a depth to it that I don't find in a whole lot of tarot decks, and just really hits me. It's just always such a great message and works really beautifully as a tarot deck, and just a really great little guidebook. And then again, on all of the minor arcana, it has not only the little message, but it has in the creative process. So it's a great deck for creative work for sure. It's a great deck for anything, but I've really started using it this way, and it works great. It works so well. It's been so helpful in my like inner demons about my creative process and being an artist. Just beautiful. It's so beautiful. I can't believe I was being weird about it at first. It's just a great deck. Okay, and last but not least, this one's so funny to me. This is a deck that like I saw, it had a moment like in the last year, I would say, where it felt like everyone was talking about it and using it and talking about how much they loved it. Margarete Peterson Tarot. And every time I saw it, I would just like skip. I would be like, I don't care. I'm not getting it. I'm not interested. No way. I was just like so adamantly not interested in this deck. And I, you know, I think I just saw it so many times. These are the backs. I don't even remember what changed and I got it. I think I got it used and it was like so cheap. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna just see. And if I really don't like it, I can always gift it to someone. Okay, so cheap. So I got it. I took it out of the box. I looked through the pictures, and just like whatever other one I was talking about, I can't remember now, there's so much in the artwork that you don't see, that just like doesn't come through online. And it has so much depth. So I'm just going to try to get that picture. And like, you know, from a distance, it's like, okay, cool. There's some cool stuff, but like, there's so much going on in these paintings. And when I first looked at flip throughs, it just seemed like everything was abstract. And I was like, well, how would I even read with that, you know? And like, I don't think I would get it. It was the soul cards. It was kind of like that vibe of like, it's too abstract. I won't be able to use it. And I don't know what to say. There's so much more to the artwork than I ever thought. And I mean, you know, you get this like Red Rocks kind of vibe, and just this like diamond, you know, and like the border, just like the beauty of the borders and how these paintings were done are just incredible. So my first surprise was just like, holy cow, there's so much more to this artwork than I ever thought looking at it online, whether it was on videos or pictures of it on Amazon or whatever. There's just so much going on. I've said that enough, sorry. So that was my first surprise. I just flipped through it like in utter delight, just like, oh my gosh, these paintings are incredible. They are not nearly as, I mean, they are abstract, but not nearly abstract in the way that I thought they were. I mean, the Ouroboros in the infinity figure with these like footprints. I don't know, there's just so many beautiful, all these paintings are beautiful. So that was surprise number one. And then surprise number two is this guidebook is amazing. It's just like the little, you know, my like 8-year-old self that put on every single, you know, like fill out the form thing that I wanted to be a writer when I grew up, like just delights in the way that this book was done. So she does these like poems for the major arcana. And just like, sorry, side note, 21 years it took her to create this deck. Like 21 years. That's incredible. So that's just like an amazing masterpiece work of art. But I love these, like nothing else for the major arcana, just these like poems, and I just think they're beautiful, and they all work so well for the major arcana. And then the way that the minor arcana are written also is just beautiful. They're not poems, but it's like meditations, or like, I don't know, just great little tidbits, you know, that go so much deeper than just like the traditional basic meanings. And then when you take these tidbits that aren't like really, there's some that talk a little bit more specifically about the paintings, but most of them don't. But then when you read the tidbits and then look at the painting, it blows my mind further. So anyway, just a beautiful deck that surprised me, that I, for so long, just totally dismissed, had no interest in whatsoever. And then the first flip through was instant love, and it's just grown ever since. So yeah, Margarete Peterson. So those are my total surprises. I feel like it's like not so much surprises, but like highlighting how grumpy and opinionated I can get with not very good reason about certain decks. But yeah, I love those. Oh, I forgot. I had 2 other ones. I'll just like mention them very briefly because I kind of just ran out of steam and don't want to go through more. The other 2 that I was going to talk about is the Mary L. Tarot and the Osho Tarot. This is the back of Osho Tarot. And the front, very different art styles. They're going to look goofy next to each other. The Osho Tarot, I'll just say this briefly. It was kind of like the William Blake Tarot. So I got it because I did these pick a card readings with a tarot reader on YouTube for a long time. And every time she had a reading with the Osho Tarot, it just always hit me super, super strong. The imagery always, even though it's got this like kind of 90s kind of weird, you know, coloring and artwork, there's something about it that just I really liked and was really drawn to. And then I got it, and I didn't realize the affiliation with Osho and some of the drama around that. So I kind of got weird about using it and didn't know how I felt and kind of put it aside. And I, not too long ago, brought it back out again and started using it. And just like when I first got it, before I got kind of conflicted, it reads so beautifully. It's wonderful. The guidebook is really well written. It's not written by Osho. It's one of his followers. There was an Osho card. I took that out. I have no intention of ever using it. It does mess with the system a little bit, but again, I really like the guidebook. And it has these elements of kind of Zen and meditation that I'm really drawn to. So, I use it with the guidebook anyway, so the system doesn't mess with me. Mary L. is just, it was not a surprise. I would say Mary L., the surprise part of it is that it keeps on surprising me. It's beautiful. I always knew I love the artwork. I love the messages. The surprise is that it just keeps blowing my socks off with its profound readings and profound insight and incredible artwork. So it's not really a surprise, but it's just one that just continues over and over again to blow me away. So that was the Mary L. in very brief breakdown. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I would love to hear any of these decks that you have a lot of opinions about, or if you had a similar experience, or if you have decks that were really big surprises that you think I'm probably being judgy about and should check out a second time. I'd love to hear that too. Like, subscribe, comments are always so appreciated and so welcome. I am trying to make this content more regular, even though my children are making it difficult in the summertime, and would love your support and help in growing the channel. I'm going to get out some garden content from that side of my channel soon, and also some art content of that side of my channel soon. Oracle right now is just the least complicated to make. So, and the Oracle part of my channel is the astrology, which will come more as I finish my last course, and the tarot, which I already feel pretty confident in sharing, just because there's already such a great community here. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.